Welcome to Marketing. Grab some coffee and let's talk about what's working in marketing, who these strategies are designed for, and how to be customer-centric while we do it.
Good morning. This is Leanne Dow-Weimer. Thank you for joining us on Marketing. Today we have Sam Dunning. Sam, if you haven't seen him on LinkedIn, he is amazing. He's a wealth of information. He is the founder of Breaking B2B and the host of the Breaking B2B podcast. Definitely worth a listen. Sam, tell us more about your background and kind of how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on, Leanne. So I'll give you the short and snappy version. I'll at least try. So I've probably been messing around with websites, SEO, marketing for 13 or so years, roughly. Started off getting into it purely because I hated working in retail. I was originally at a camera shop that anyone from the UK side of things might know of a shop called Jessop's, basically selling camera equipment. Soon realized that I hated dealing with the general public working in retail. After a short stint of that, my cousin said that there was a job going where he was at, which is a web agency. Took an interview the next day, left the camera retail store, started working at this web agency, and basically got thrown in at the deep end. So right from the start, I was taking sales calls, dealing with inbound leads, building wireframes for websites, project managing, account managing, anything from sales to delivery to liaising with design team, development team, literally chucked in at the deep end on this startup. But it's probably one of the best things that could have happened, because when you get thrown at the deep end, you're almost forced to communicate with everyone in the business and either sink or swim. And I wouldn't say I swam, I probably was floundering somewhere in the middle, but certainly scooped up a lot of information. And I come from a very sales focused background. So a lot of my jobs up to the last few years have kind of been more of a sales focus than marketing. So that's why when we eventually get on to talking about SEO, you'll see this it's very from a revenue or lead generation focused standpoint rather than kind of other metrics that marketers might prioritize. So, but yeah, long story short, over the years, I've worked at that web agency for a long time. I then went to another marketing agency, eventually became a co-owner of that web and SEO agency, which I exited start of this year. And then in February of this year, 2024, I fired up Breaking B2B. I'd already been hosting the podcast for around 4 years or so, where we kind of interview B2B marketing practitioners and share actionable tips in their area of expertise. We do solo episodes on websites and B2B SEO and what's working today in marketing. But yeah, fired up this agency in Feb. And yeah, we tend to kind of work with B2B technology, SaaS or service companies that are usually frustrated that their website isn't generating a steady flow of demos or qualified leads to sales, or they're just tired of seeing competitors above them in organic search results on Google. So we tend to fix that with a bit of an unusual approach to SEO, content marketing and web design and dev. But that's the short, snappy version of where we are.
Awesome. And I think that really goes to show is that, if you are willing to stick it out, you can learn marketing. If you have the right attitude, that you can learn just about anything. But marketing is definitely a learnable skill, and sales as well.
For sure. For sure. A lot of it is curiosity, isn't it? A lot of it's having that willingness to do it. That's the main thing. And stepping aside from ego and being willing to ask the tough questions, or being willing to read the book, try and put something into play, listen to the podcast, watch the video, then take away a practical tip and actually put it into action rather than just consuming it and forgetting about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe also testing, right? Because every failure, if you're willing to learn from it, just a test.
Definitely. Definitely.
Awesome. Well, so before we started recording, you and I were talking about soapboxes and, things that we get really fired up about. And you mentioned something that I really want us to investigate, and that was the difference between traffic and revenue. And I'd love to hear more about your opinion on SEO in general, how it's working today, and kind of maybe going down that thread.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's something I ramble on about on LinkedIn, on my podcast, on interviews and all sorts all the time. So I suppose one of my main soapboxes is you've probably only got to scroll your LinkedIn feed once a week and you'll see some someone posting a graph, maybe a screenshot from SEMrush or Ahrefs or whatever SEO tool they use. And it's a super fat graph. It says we grew traffic from 0 to 10,000 in such a short space of time. And then I'll usually comment on that post and say something like, that's great to know you got that much traffic. How many qualified leads did it bring in, or how much revenue did it turn in? And it turns out it's just a generic blog article that didn't actually drive any business outcomes. It was pure for vanity traffic. So it might have been a how-to question or top tips question or something like that. Very, very top of the funnel, early stage buying question, as opposed to something that a potential client is going to search when they want to have a sales conversation today. So that's probably one of the things that frustrates me most when I see kind of marketers or SEOs or tech folks either saying that SEO is purely for traffic, doesn't drive business outcomes, or they're talking about the wrong kind of stuff. They're measuring the wrong metrics when it comes to SEO, but they're measuring just purely traffic and rankings as opposed to qualified meetings held or qualified demos or qualified revenue off the back of it. Or when folks say that SEO is no longer a relevant channel, i.e. no one uses Google anymore, everyone goes to communities or network events or LinkedIn. And the truth is they do all those channels, sure, but SEO is a part of the ecosystem. But let's face it, when it comes to B2B sales or B2B marketing, if you're offering a high ticket service or high ticket solution, it's extremely rare that someone will see your website once and then decide to book a demo. They'll probably search for what you do on Google, maybe then go and listen to your podcast, sign up to your email tips, check you out on LinkedIn, ask their network, speak to their peer, then go back to your website, check out a blog post, maybe then compare you to some alternatives, then maybe shortlist 3 vendors, book some demos, and eventually sit on a sales call and then maybe eventually work with you. It is not linear. It's messy as anything. So back to my point, what actually frustrates me is basically vanity SEO metrics. So rather than focusing on meetings held or demos booked and qualified pipeline, it's that top of the funnel traffic, but happy to dive into that deeper as you wish.
I love all of it. You saw me roll my eyes when you said about, there was something that you said about how it's, if you're not booking demos or like the vanity metrics. And I think that it absolutely, you have to show up all across the place, because what happens if your friend tells you about this really great thing and then you don't find it anywhere? Do you still consider it, or does it drop from the running the same way it disappeared from your search?
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thought that I have.
Yeah. It's the same kind of thing when folks say like all our business is word of mouth or referrals, but then you don't know how much business you're missing, because like if let's say, for example, your business was referrals, but then you had a terrible website that didn't clearly outline what you do, problems you solve, some solid social proof, some qualification in there like pricing and maybe some nice examples of work and a super easy way to schedule time with a sales rep or specialist. If your website didn't hit the mark, you would never have a clue how many prospects that were getting referred to you but didn't convert because your website didn't hit that mark. But yeah, there's so many nuances in this stuff, but it's just funny to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the nuance, because that's where we figure out where and when it's a good fit or a bad fit. Because not everything's right for everyone all the time. You know, I think about paid a lot and the traffic that people get from paid performance media. And a phrase that I'm stealing from someone else is, why are we making ads just to piss off wide swaths of people? And it was that if you send all the traffic and they get there and there's not what they're after, then what, it's the same with SEO, whether it's organic or paid or any sort of traffic. If they come and they're not getting what they thought they were hoping for, how good is that traffic? Is it even relevant anymore? How that you got 10,000?
Yeah. Or it's even, a lot of the problem with SEO is that it starts in the wrong place.
Mm-hmm.
So a typical scenario is that, I don't know, maybe a founder or the marketing leader at a team or one of the exec team will kind of think, oh, we're falling behind on organic search. We've done a lot of paid. Maybe we've done a lot of paid review sites. We've done trade shows. We've done whatever. But I'm tired of seeing our competitors ahead of us in organic search. Then they'll task the marketing exec or the marketing manager. They say, look, our SEO is super behind. Competitors are always ahead of us. Can you do some SEO? And they'll think, yeah, we'll do some SEO, but I've got about 100 other tasks to do this month, but I'll try and squeeze some SEO. So they'll resort to a tool like ChatGPT or whatever's nice and easy to pump out some blogs. Maybe they'll do a bit of basic keyword research on a tool like Ahrefs or SEMrush around some kind of high traffic keywords like how to do X or best ways to do Y. And they'll pump out these articles. Then they'll get back to the rest of the 99 other jobs they had on their list. The exec will then ask them a few months later, like, how are we doing on SEO? They'll be like, well, I pumped out a few blogs like you asked me to. They've got a little bit of traffic, and they'll be like, did we get any leads? Did we get any demos? Did we get any meetings off the back of it? Or say, well, no, but you didn't ask me to do that. You just said, do a bit of SEO. It was a checkbox activity. I did a bit of SEO. And that's where it all goes wrong, really. It's not thoroughly researched. People start at the wrong end. So they start by thinking we need to do SEO, we need to do traffic, when a thoughtful SEO strategy, just like the crux of any B2B marketing, starts with the customer, starts with working out and making a clear list of who are the ideal client profiles we want to be going after. Not just anyone, though, the ones that have the frustrating, expensive problem we fix, are in the right industry that we want to be doing business with. They are motivated to fix the problem, but most importantly, they have cash to invest in it. So it's not a market that's not going to be able to easily afford our offer. And they believe it's a solution that's going to benefit them. And we know we can provide real value to them. So one of the most simplest things you can do from an SEO standpoint is make a clear list on Google Sheets. Whatever you want to do is, these are the main markets that have problems we fix, are ready to invest in our offer. These are the subcategories. So for example, I did this on my own site, breakingb2b.com. This is how we ranked super fast in 90 days for terms like B2B SEO agency and various other terms that are super competitive, just by listing out these niches that we want to serve and building out best-in-class pages for each and every niche plus offer, like 2 to 3 core offers that we provide, and then building best-in-class content. It's something that a lot of B2B service, B2B technology companies don't do. SEO just gets often put on the back foot. And if it does get looked at, it's not strategic. So you really want to think out, what are the main offers you want to sell? What are the main industries you want to serve? Let's start building best-in-class pages to start ranking for these terms. And sometimes in SaaS or tech, that's also looking at industry plus offer. It might be looking at alternative pages for what folks compare you to. Might be looking at versus pages, again, if you're in SaaS. But mapping out what are those search terms that folks search when they have high intent to speak to sales, map all them out, start building content. And if you can start building pages at speed, and you're going to be ahead of a lot of people in your industry in a fairly short amount of time if you do that with a strategic play.
Absolutely. And I just want to call out a phrase that I want everybody to like really sink into their brains. Best in class, right? You didn't just make blogs from Chat GPT with very poor readability. Well, not even poor readability, just this fluff. You didn't put out things that were just to check a box. You put out something intentional that was just better quality and meant to be good instead of meant to be done, which I think is a difference of measurement.
Yeah. I mean, from SEO, there's a guideline called EEAT, which stands for Experience, Expertise, Authority, Trust. It's something Google put out in a helpful content update a while ago. But it basically means that whoever's writing your pages, whether they're solution pages, industry pages, alternatives pages, blog articles, whatever, you ideally want someone that knows the sector or knows the niche or knows the problem or service that you're talking about. So not only is that going to help you rank better, so if a potential client lands on that page, they can see, look, yeah, they understand the problem. Yep, they understand the impact of not fixing it. They're clearly walking me through the solution. They're giving some nice social proof examples of client reviews, client review videos. They're addressing my FAQs, my common questions directly in the copy. So they know their stuff. Not only is that a ranking signal to Google, but it shows the prospect that's landed on the page that it's actually worthwhile them taking the time to read it. They understand your world, and they're more likely to resonate, and then more likely to convert, like take action, whether that is learn more, take a call, or whatever. Whereas if, like you said, if you're pumping out AI generated content, it could rank, but if someone lands on that page and it says stuff like, we're going to supercharge and 100x your revenue with our all-in-one wizardry, you instantly get turned off and you're thinking, what is this jargon nonsense?
Yeah, if it sounds like a robot wrote it, like then you're setting the expectation to your client implicitly that that's how you're going to treat the services you provide to them. And that's how you value them, is that you weren't worth the time and effort to really understand them or do it yourself, that you just assigned it to a robot. So I feel like you've shared a couple really great anecdotes and stories that really illustrate what you're talking about. I want to find out more about when is someone really close to what you're saying is the right way to do things, and when is someone just a little bit off the mark, but wrong enough to make it not work. Or, maybe there's a stage of a business's maturity where it's just they're not ready for SEO or the
Okay.
type of SEO that you do.
Oh yeah, there's all of that is applicable. I mean, there's plenty of folks that reach out to me, whether that's through our website or LinkedIn, that I'll say that SEO is probably not the best idea right now. And that could be for a number of reasons. Like one reason SEO is not the best bet is if you're in a new market or new category that's perhaps not established, i.e. known markets, CRM, calendar scheduling, etc., proposal tools, well-known mature markets. Whereas if you're creating a new category, you're creating some kind of new tool, new software, new service that people do not know exists. There's no one searching for it on Google. Google is best placed as a demand capture system, so to capture prospects that are in the market, searching for your offer, searching for your service or solution. People aren't doing that. SEO isn't going to be the best bet. You're better off creating content on the channel that target market you're going after already sits on. Whether that's YouTube, podcast, some kind of communities they hang out on, some kind of networking events. Way better spending your time there. Once the market matures a bit and people are searching for the offer or problems you fix, then you want to invest in Google, whether that's ads or SEO. Likewise, another scenario when SEO isn't the best bet is if you just don't have the resource to put into it. So whether that is, so for example, as a brand new bootstrap startup, I probably wouldn't encourage most founders to do SEO. I'd say, look, you need to get at least your first 10, 20 customers on board. You need some recurring revenue before you even consider doing SEO. I'd say get an MVP website that's basic, looks half decent, shares what you do, how you help, some examples of work, and is easy to get in touch. Focus on your network, partnerships, referrals, build up that client base, get some recurring revenue, then consider investing in SEO, because you're probably not going to have the cash or the internal team to start doing decent keyword research, pumping out some good content, building off-page SEO to make it worthwhile. Probably just half-ass it, and it's not even worth doing. So those are two big kind of common ones I see where I'd say, look, it's probably worth putting on the back seat until you've got this system in place to actually make it a worthwhile exercise and go at it properly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen that firsthand where people want to do something, but they don't understand that they need the infrastructure to support that motion. They need to have the customer research. So if you don't know who you're talking to, why are you investing in SEO? Like, who are you SEOing? Not that you can SEO someone, but at the same time.
Sounds good there.
Yeah, it sounds like we could use it as a verb. If you can Google something, you can SEO someone. So, I mean, I also want to call out that you did not say oversaturation. So you pointed out that you actually do need more content, like searches, in order to be successful. I'm curious though, because I've been on both ends where it was a very empty market for searches, like category proof of concept. And then I've worked with like very, very mature companies in a very established market, but there was some just giant corporations that were taking up those terms. And, is it realistic for the smaller one that doesn't have, I don't know, millions of dollars to spend on their advertising budget? Is it possible for them to compete still?
This is one of the best questions I've been asked on a podcast. So this is great. So this is exactly what you should be asking when you do an SEO campaign, because most markets are super competitive if they've been around for a long time. So take the CRM space, take the calendar scheduling space, the proposal software space, whatever. So yeah, there's still an opportunity, but this is where you want to niche down. And that task that I recommended a little bit earlier is going to be super useful. So where you're really noting down, like these, if we're like, let's say we're in the CRM space, let's take calendar scheduling as we often do. If you search calendar scheduling software, calendar scheduling tool, you'll see the usual suspects: Calendly, Chili Piper, Revenue Hero, the monsters in the industry. Are you going to be able to take them on in the short term? No chance. But if you niche down and you pick a small segment of your target market, that's when you're going to be able to win. This is something a guy called Pep Lear talks about from Winter, something a lot of people that are kind of well versed in positioning and building a small niche in a marketplace and eventually taking over the monsters in the marketplace. This is how you do it. You basically pick a super small niche, a super small segment, and you go after that segment. You first prove that they have a need, which you've hopefully done when you've kind of done customer research and identified kind of the type of clients and prospects you want to go after that have problems you fix, are willing to fix it and have cash to invest. Let's pretend you've done that. Pick some industries. So like I did for our site when we launched kind of a couple months back, I picked like SaaS, fintech, finance, construction, and we'll go. So we're not just trying to rank for things like SEO company. We're trying to rank for stuff like B2B SaaS SEO agency, B2B SaaS SEO company. If you're in the calendar scheduling space, let's say, pretend you went after the construction niche, you might go calendar scheduling for construction companies or construction calendar scheduling software. So it's a long tail keyword. It's more specific. It's not generic, and it's tied down to that niche. The good thing about that is someone's not typing in that for fun. They're typing in it because they're in that industry and they want to have a sales conversation around it. So if you can then target those search terms that these folks in this tight industry or tight niche are going after, then you can review what content ranks. So you can quite literally Google the term, see if it's an article that ranks, a listicle, comparison page, or a solution page, understand what Google expects to see, make notes on what's ranking well, and then look for ways that you can outrank this content by being more specific, more detailed, more helpful, more useful, sharing more examples, sharing better FAQs. Anything you can do to one up these pages is how you can begin to rank. And then another way that you can take on giants is if you're in the software space, maybe going after some alternatives or versus keywords. So making a list of those top 10, top 15, top 20 competitors in your niche, and then doing alternatives pages. So most of us compare options before we purchase. So making a list, you might use this tool like G2 to see all those competitors and then list out and make a page like, I don't know, if you're in calendar booking, it might be Chili Piper alternatives, Revenue Hero alternatives, Calendly alternatives, and you kind of build out a super comprehensive listicle. So those are a couple ways that you can kind of start attacking giants and take up a small sector with not only getting traffic for those terms, but getting qualified traffic that's likely to convert.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that people will feel discouraged when they're going against giants, and they don't need to. Like, just because it's hard to get doesn't mean it's impossible, and doesn't mean that you need the whole market. You just need enough market share to sustain your business as it grows.
Yeah, it's very, very doable. I mean, we've done this so Breaking B2B, our website was on a fresh domain. The site is only 90 days old, but we got page one, literally doing this process that I'm outlining for B2B SEO agency. That's in the UK, it's rank 1. In the US, I think it's about 4. But there's monster web agencies. Like, we're a small team. It's me and a few team members. We're going against agencies that have got 1,000+ staff just by doing this process, starting with a small sector and working our way out. We've outranked them. And what you'll find is if you're a startup or a smaller business, you have a lot better competitive edge in the SEO game because you can do everything I've said and you can start publishing pages and content that are going after kind of these specific keywords that your prospects are searching when they need your offer. You can publish them at scale, whereas bigger companies, they have a lot more red tape. Like, they'll come up with an idea, they'll come up with a content plan. They've got to get the content plan approved. It'll take 2 months to get the copy approved, another month to design it, another month to develop it. In those 3 months, you could have published 50+ pages.
Yeah, I mean, apparently in 90 days, 3 months, you can just get to number 1 in the UK. So it's very possible. And I think that's really part of the exciting part of working with a smaller team is just your speed of action that you can do. Having experienced a lot of bureaucracy and red tape and compliance and the layers and dilution from idea to execution can be detrimental in a competitive space, especially for SEO. So if you were thinking about like the future of marketing, what would you say, like, where marketing is going? And do you think that's the same of where it should go? Or, talk more about like what's ahead in like around the next quarter for marketing.
I suppose, like, outside of kind of my focus, which is B2B websites, SEO, and kind of podcasting, it feels like videos are going to be big, right? Because LinkedIn are in beta mode, which I haven't got yet, annoyingly, of that video feed, which is like TikTok version 2, but for LinkedIn. So there's no doubt that video's taken over, and it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out. I mean, we're May, just in the start of May 2024, recording this. Be super interesting to see one, what that looks like. I don't know if you've got access to that beta yet, Leanne.
No, and actually the weird thing is that I see everyone that wants it, but I see no one that has it.
No, me neither.
I've not met anyone that is like, yeah, it's like this and can show a screenshot. So I feel
No.
like we're being teased.
Probably.
Like,
Yeah, I think they're probably just trying to build up some hype for it. And then when they release it, it'll just flop. Like LinkedIn they released that stories feature like a couple of years ago, and that only lasted, like, to my memory, a few months. And then they rejected it because I'm guessing it didn't get enough pickup. I don't know, but it feels like video is the way to go. I mean, I talk about video a lot on SEO because it can enhance your pages if you're embedding YouTube videos, because it can add another layer of expertise and trust when someone puts a face to the name, and it can also give you another ranking in search results because Google often show a video section as well. So I feel like video is gonna be a big one.
Yeah, I strongly believe in video. I've been believing in video for 4 to 5 years, and I think it is a competitive advantage that doesn't take a lot of investment. It certainly can, but the scrappier you do it, the more authentic you are. And it's the same reason why I'll say, like, don't Photoshop me in pictures, because with my flaws, you know that I'm real. And that's what people want. They want the trust of knowing that first of all, that you're not like hiding something from them. But now the AI has gotten bigger and bigger, and things like Vlogger, where you can take a still image and turn it into an entire YouTube motion picture, video content. People want to know that you're natural, that you're flawed, and that you are, like, not AI. They don't want you to be AI.
For sure.
We love AI. AI can do some really cool things, and sometimes it comes across like I'm a hater. I think it's an amazing tool, and I am so excited to see what we do with it. And we need to interweave it into our unique humanity.
Yeah. I'm just hoping that AI just doesn't, because it's getting scary soon with the stuff you can do on video. Like, taking you feed it X amount of your old videos, and then it can start producing new video content based on the past memory that's been uploaded. So it'll be scary to see where that goes in the next 5 to 7 years. But luckily, right now, it's still not at that realistic level.
Yeah, I mean, that part is scary. There's definitely bad actors, and I think that part of it is a big cybersecurity threat. I wish that there was this kind of agreed upon, like, maybe we shouldn't do that line in the sand. But it's not the world problem that's getting solved by me. And then, so with AI, and I also think that, per what you were saying about best in class, is that the algorithm doesn't necessarily want to reward bots and AI generated content. They want to reward things that people find value in. Do you think that that's kind of what you would expect, or how has that gone?
Yeah, so with AI, Google are rolling out something at the moment called SGE, and I know it in some parts of America it's live. I don't think so much in UK where I am, but basically stands for Search Generative Experience, and it basically means when you search something on Google, not everything, but certain questions or queries, it will give you instant results above the fold. So traditionally with Google, you've typed in your question, then you've had to trawl through the results or click through to each page or article or whatever it is. So now for some queries, you'll instantly get the answer above that fold as a AI generated response. Now this means that some websites' traffic could plummet. So if your site was relying on kind of top of the funnel, quite light content, like simple how to do questions that wasn't very specific or niche or nuanced, it could take a hit once that gets fully rolled out, because these questions will be simply answerable by Google's AI. And to be fair, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because it means that website marketing teams have to focus on being more of a useful resource, like understanding stuff that's more specific to their industry, not doing high level kind of content, and getting more drilled into taking a revenue first approach, so understanding what someone searches when they need the offer right now, and kind of building detailed pages for that. And likewise, if it is a question, it's more of a job to be done rather than saying like, let's say, for example, using job to be done in content as an example, not like how do we do a social post? Like if you're offering calendar scheduling software, which is a very basic question, but how do I build out a scheduling system within Google Sheets that works? Something like that, it might still direct to the article because that'll be a bit more difficult for AI to answer. So it's thinking kind of how can my content not be replaced and how can I put together something that's got more depth to it, more expertise, more authority and that kind of stuff. But it's going to be interesting to see how that impacts search when it comes out fully.
Yeah. In today's past, I'll save you the baloney line about the market right now, but one of the things that brings up is misinformation, and there is legitimate concern that the auto-generated response could bring up something entirely false or just wrong enough, right? There's so many words in the English language specifically that have double meanings, that have triple meanings, or just culturally is used one way in America and quite a different way in the UK or Australia or, other English speaking countries. And so I hope that there will be accuracy and that it's a worry. It's a worry. Also, last part about that worry is that coming from a science background where I had to read and write like research articles, and I don't want to sound like I was like some PhD research. I just had to do like very basic level, like this is, the result of our experiment thing. But if it's only reporting on the abstract, it doesn't necessarily report on the previous 3 studies or give it context or understand the scientific implications or allow for the fact that it's an experiment, and experiments are meant to be re-experimented. They're not meant to be one and done for now until forever. You're supposed to pull further. And so I really worry about scientific misinformation.
I think they're going to have to give a clause, and I think they do where it's been slowly rolled out. Like I think there is a message like search generative experience is in experimentation mode. Like some results may not be like factory correct. It's something like that. Those not really the word. But then it's like, as a user, if you're seeing that, it's like, well, do I trust it? Do I not? And then it kind of encourages you to scroll in and make your own mind up, I suppose, and then check out some more pages. But at the same time, it's going to be a weird thing because Google have got to balance that and the potential whatever issues and law cases and lawsuits could come out of any misinformation. They've got to balance the fact that they can't take up the whole above the fold with instant AI results because they want to take your money through paid search, through Google Ads. And at the same time, they don't want to annoy all the publishers or the websites that have been using organic for years because they still want to give them a slice of the pie. So it's going to be a balancing act. And it's going to be interesting to see how they try and balance it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the democratization of ideas with like net neutrality and different things like that. Like, are they giving opposing points of view? And to your point about like the disclaimer, I don't think people even read that part. I've seen people at Disneyland. I don't think people are reading the fine print or the warning signs. They're like, no, it's cool. We're gonna do it this way. And I gave it 2 seconds of thought, and that must be it. And they'll still put their own bias lens on top of whatever information they receive from the world. So
fair.
I get a little worried about that one specifically. All right. Well, I have one final question to ask you, and it's kind of like a peek behind the scenes. What is a question that someone should ask you, but they don't? What is a question that you wish you could talk more about, or, people just start at the end and they really need to start at the beginning?
I think you've asked me some good ones on SEO. Like you've asked like how, which not many people ask me, like when you shouldn't do SEO and how do you compete against giants and that kind of stuff. So normally I get asked quite tactical stuff on SEO, and I often talk about websites and the deadly sins of B2B websites and what not to do. I suppose what would be quite fitting is this company, Breaking B2B, I'm only 3 months in, so happy to share kind of what's worked with us that might be quite tactical in terms of actually driving clients and customers, as that's not really something I share that often.
Yeah, that would be great.
Cool. So kind of like I talked about earlier, I have the unfair advantage that I've been doing this 13 or so years. So for me, I just went at it like crazy, just tried to publish as much content on my website from launch on the get-go. So SEO for us made sense, but for most businesses, it probably wouldn't as a scrappy bootstrap startup. But to acquire customers in the start, I basically went nuts. So as many people say, to acquire first few customers, you should leverage network. So a lot of the time was spent on LinkedIn, reaching out to past podcast guests, prospects, friends, partners, basically saying, look, we're firing up this business. If you know anyone that's struggling to drive qualified pipeline through their website or an organic search on Google, if you can send them our way, I'll give you a kickback. I'll give you a referral fee. I'll help you out. That worked really well. Did some cold outreach. So I'm a big fan, like you mentioned, of experimentation. So I've never done that. Was like that got me some customers, like reaching out to folks that I know in the network, podcast guests, etc. Another way was experimenting with cold email. Just set up like some cold email to target ICP. Did like a pain point orientated message. Tried that. Obviously did the SEO work. We do the podcast on YouTube and the audio that generates a steady trickle of clients. I run the email list. Yeah, a lot of it in the early stage of a bootstrap startup that I don't talk about much is just very much can-do attitude. So very much understanding what you want to do and then putting in the graft to make it happen. And it's not the most fun, but when you've got a vision of what you want to get on the back end, it's worthwhile. Like being an entrepreneur, being a business owner isn't for everyone. So it's a lot of work outside of 9 to 5, as I'm sure this is for your podcast and the other things you run, Leanne. And but if it's something you enjoy and you've got a clear focus and you understand the folks that you want to go after, just like I said with the SEO side of things, like if you've taken the time to understand the industries you serve best, which often comes from a lot of failing by serving customers that aren't the best fit and then working through the hard way, like I've done, and you understand the problems you fix and you understand the main offers you provide that are going to land value, then it makes it a lot easier once you've defined that niche and you know who you should be speaking to. So that's a bit of a ramble on that.
No, we love rambles. It's a podcast. What would it be if you didn't ramble? I think that there's a couple things that you said that I really just want to double down on. So one of them is that you came into this with 13 years of experience. And I think that some people, when they start something, they might be starting at 0 and they might be starting at 13 years. And I call this the learning velocity because you've already had all of this learning that you've done. And so you aren't starting at 0, 0. You're starting at like 10,000 in 0 in the timeline and scale. So you've already done a lot of the mistakes or experiments and learning that maybe someone coming in completely flat wouldn't know. And that is a consideration that if you are looking to start a new business, it is advised that you have experience in that industry so that you have answers to those questions so that you can hit the ground running. You can create revenue before you go bankrupt. You can pay your bills and have the strategic vision to go after the channels that you know are applicable and how to do it the correct way for those channels.
Yeah. I mean, you could do what I did, really. Like you say, you definitely need the expertise because you need to be able, if you're a solo consultant or even if you're contracting out, you need to be able to deliver on what you're promising. But yeah, like you said, you can kind of build up some clients on the side slowly, whether that's through consulting or different kind of service or different kind of offer or a paid guide or a paid lead magnet, like starting small and then slowly building up. Like you say, probably do it a bit more than I did. Like I only had kind of 1 or so consulting clients and then put a lot of pressure on myself to get some clients through the door fast. And that way you've got a bit of a safety net for the first few months rather than kind of going in fresh and hoping for the best. But yeah.
Yeah. And it's not for everyone. It's for the people that want it because it is not, there are no reprieves during your downtime. It is not actual downtime. It is time spent away from your computer, but I wouldn't call it downtime. Not that it should, for mental health, I'm not advising that people work themselves to death. Please find work-life balance. Just understand that if you're starting a new venture, that season of your life is not balanced very much.
Yeah, you've got to. I think if you are doing that stuff, you've got to kind of realize that it all plays for me anyway. It all plays into to an ecosystem. So rather than thinking like I'm going to take a massive break now, like take breaks as you're going, kind of
Yep.
thing. So like understand that in my case, I might be going away for 2 weeks in the summer, but I'm still gonna. I know that I'm going to have to set some time aside each day to do a bit of work, and that is what I've started. That's what I've chosen to do, and that's the way it's going to be. But I enjoy the work, so it works out.
Awesome. I hope that everyone finds something that they care enough about to feel like that like they're intentional about what they chose, and that when they show up, it's because they want to be there. And I think that that's really the crux of the matter in any sort of work we do, whether it's for someone else or for ourselves, is
Yeah.
wanting to be there, knowing your motivation for it. Um, Sam, you have shared so much knowledge with us in such a short amount of time. Thank you. I appreciate you coming on as a guest, and I've really, really enjoyed this conversation. If someone wanted to reach out to you or find out more about you, what are the best ways for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, appreciate having me on. So there's three main ways. One is follow me on LinkedIn, Sam Dunning. I'm sharing daily ramblings, tips, ideas on websites and SEO there. Second is to check out the podcast, Breaking B2B. Much like this, we interview B2B marketing practitioners, share ideas, stories, tips. I've got solo episodes. Or thirdly, if any of this has resonated, if you're feeling a bit frustrated that your website isn't driving a steady flow of leads or demos, or tired of seeing competitors ahead of you on organic search, then go to breakingb2b.com and you can book a call with us there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And my name's Leanne. If you want to get a hold of me, the best way is either LinkedIn also, or if you are going to email me, please do so at info@markigy.com, markigy.com. Thank you so much.